I have panic disorder, and I hate the way it makes me feel. Even though I know that I have panic disorder, I still can't seem to shake it. Any thoughts?
Well, that's a great question. Panic disorder is one of those disorders where, the cognitive behavioral therapy that we talk about with the thoughts, the feelings, and the behaviors, you really can start to break that down. And when we start talking about panic, oftentimes people talk about these physiological symptoms that they have with their heart racing, or, just a variety of other things, shortness of breath, just really their body responding in a way that is uncomfortable, and oftentimes people become scared of those physical feelings. Am I going to have a heart attack, or and so when we start kind of breaking this down into kind of a cognitive behavioral kind of way, we start looking at, okay, I'm having these feelings, but now I have all these thoughts that are generated, and the thoughts generally can be kind of like something bad's going to happen, and so when I start having those thoughts, then that kind of starts more of those feelings, and then as those feelings get going, then it just really becomes a storm of anxiety. And so I guess I should give a shout out to this book, End to Panic. This is a great book here that talks a lot about panic and just a way to kind of work through that. And really kind of my thoughts are with panic, as we're talking about, if you're struggling with panic and anxiety, is just the way that you start to think about those feelings has a lot to do with it. So, you can look at anxiety, and you can look at it from a term of anxiety is not hurtful. It's how you think about it that can be hurtful, it can be harmful, or it can be helpful. It can be harmful or it can be helpful. And I know it seems a little difficult sometimes to really be like, okay, this is just panic, no big deal, because you want to think, why is my body doing this, right? But really what we want to do is we want to start to look at those thoughts that you're having around it. And we want to start to kind of be able to kind of go into a place where your thoughts are distorted and maybe you're irrational and kind of all those things, and start to really kind of try to come back into a reality and say, okay, I'm feeling these things. Is it panic? Okay, it seems like panic. I've had this multiple times. I've gone to the doctor and they've told me that this is panic. And so I guess maybe it is panic. Maybe it is anxiety. And so kind of as we start to kind of change our thought process, what eventually happens is your body starts to respond to that also. It may not happen the first time or the second time, but as you start to change that thought process, then that kind of panic and that anxiety goes away. And that's really, I think, one of the keys to working through panic disorder is instead of kind of treating the physical symptoms of, I've got to make sure that my heart doesn't start racing, or I've got to really watch my breathing, because if I don't watch my breathing, then, I'm going to start freaking out and having a panic attack, is really just your mind around that. So, if I have a panic attack, and I know it sounds really weird, but if I have a panic attack, I have a panic attack. Okay, bring it on. There's all types of things that people do when they're going through treatment of panic disorder that really sometimes instead of so when we think of panic disorder, and we think of the feelings, and we've got the thoughts, and then the behaviors are a lot of times you want to stop it, you want to run away from it. And so sometimes people, when they're in treatment, what they'll do is they'll actually try to induce those panic-like symptoms. Mm. So the panic really is, the key to it is trying to find a way where you can really minimize this catastrophe that potentially is this medical catastrophe that could happen in your life. And really the way that you kind of do that in your thoughts, which I kind of always go back to in most everything that I do, is, okay, what's the worst thing that could happen? Worst thing that could happen is I could die. I guess that would be the worst thing that could happen. And I think we get to a really good place if you can get to that place in your life or in your just anxiety work, and you can say, if I die, I guess I die. I know that sounds weird and that seems tragic, but kind of this mind game around this anxiety if you can get to that place, then I think that you're in a really good place. And the reality of it is none of us know right now if we'll be living in the next 10 seconds. right? I mean, there isn't certainty in any of this. And so I think that's a key part of it, knowing, just wrestling with that uncertainty that, yeah, it may be a medical condition, it may be panic, it may, but what's going to happen is when I kind of start to kind of wrestle with these thoughts and detangle it and the anxiety goes away, okay, I guess I lived through it. If I didn't live through it and I died, well, that was a medical condition. It's kind of like you rob Peter to pay Paul. It's like if you go with the anxiety, and I'm like, okay, hey, was that a good... rob Peter to pay Paul? Was that all right? All right, I don't know what it steal. I guess we'll go with that one. But if you feed into it and you look on the internet or you do those things or you go to a doctor, which a lot of times people do, then you feed that anxiety again. And so really the only way to go, I think, is to kind of work through it, is just really take that step out and really kind of that leap and just say, okay, I'm going to go with that it's panic. And if it was panic, it's going to subside. My thoughts are going to really chill it out. And then I'm going to just basically kind of learn a way to deal with my panic. So it's almost like kind of, I guess, playing a game to see if it's panic or if it's a real condition. And so I think if you can do that and you can get to a place with the anxiety where you're like, okay, I'm just going to try it out, then you'll see that you actually feel like you have more control now, because a lot of times people with panic feel like they're totally out of control. So anyway, I hope that's helpful.